You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, this is AFTERBUZZ TV for Justified. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Justified news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues.
Justified.
It's just we're not used to that yet, are we?
Right. I wasn't sure if it was Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Phil. Yes, we're here for another Justified podcast, Season 3, Episode 2, titled Cut Ties. I'm your host, John Comerford. I'm joined in the studio by Tamara Berg and Steve Bottomley. And in the booth, we've got Phil Svitek. Thank you, Phil. Right on cue. I got to tell you, one of the things I like most about this episode is that Art got out of the office, because it's nice to see Art in action out in the field.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. The only other time we really saw that was last season on the airstrip with, do you remember that?
Yeah, exactly.
And this episode was reminding me of that episode and kind of going, now wait a second, there's a reason why Art has become the chief of the marshals in this office. He's not just some, old guy kind of out of commission. He was he was a badass marshal at one point too.
And we get a little hint of it when he's talking to Bill, his friend. They're obviously having that conversation in the office, and they're reminiscing about old times, and Art's commiserating with him about how he's got a renegade marshal that he's having to deal with, and he calls Raylan his penance for all the stuff he put his own chief through. So,
exactly.
And we got to see a little bit about that.
There was, when they were having that conversation with Bill and the captain, he said Bart Masterson.
Yeah,
Bat Masterson.
Wilder, and then there was another name.
What I heard
is that
was,
a name that's going to come up later?
Well, I don't know, but you know what I thought was great was they obviously did their homework. I think it sounded like Bass Reeve. Now we've been looking, but we haven't been able to find any information. We might have the wrong names. So we'll have to go back.
That's what it sounded like to me. That's what
Bass
I have.
Reeve. So
I have Bass Reed.
Yeah, it could be that too. We couldn't. It wasn't as clear as we would want it to be. But it was almost as if Graham Yost or whoever wrote it obviously did their homework on marshals. And here's one that was an amazing marshal that no one's ever heard of.
Right.
And it's almost like he's actually saying to Denzel Washington, because he says that Art says it. Tell Denzel about that. We should see a movie about him. So it's almost like this guy's probably got an amazing career, and we probably should know about him, but we don't.
Right.
So, by the way, so you asked me to look up all the range duties of a U.S. Marshal, and I would read it to you, except it is long.
It's good. It's very vast, and
just read the fun ones.
Well, let me give you the pointer. So it's they cover judicial and courthouse security, fugitive apprehension, prisoner security and transportation, protection of witness, asset fortitude. I don't know. I can't read. Okay. Operation support, and obviously within those, there's like 8,000 bullets. So there you go.
It's crazy, and that's what I like about the marshals, and actually I remember Graham Yost talking about them. It's one of the reasons why he wanted to do this show, because it's so vast and varied that you can take stories anywhere almost, because it's not you're not just doing DEA stuff, which is whatever their purview is. You were gonna say something?
I do. I have Bass Reeves.
Reeves
is his name, who was African American.
Right. That's
U.S.
obviously
Marshal. Obviously why he was saying so. Born to black slave parents in 1838 in Paris, Texas. And he was the first black U.S. deputy west of the Mississippi.
Well, there you go. So,
and why does Denzel not know about this?
Well, he may, but who knows? I mean, there may be a story in a movie and the whole thing that
very
works,
cool.
Whatever. But that's fascinating. I now want to know everything about Bass Reeves.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I love when they drop little nuggets like that, just enough for you to go, now what was that?
Exactly.
And now you find this out.
And
that's
you
awesome.
put them in the category of Bat Masterson and White, the whole thing. So obviously, there's got to be a great story. And the first African American marshals got it right there. There's got to be a story. But I would love to know what happened on his watch and what he did and what he was accountable for and all that kind of stuff. And that'll be interesting. We'll have to do some homework. Maybe that we'll do as a special segment for the show.
Yeah.
Next, not obviously we didn't have time to do it this time.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the faults in our logic, which we saw last week worked and this week didn't.
What's that?
I think all three of us watched the show Tuesday night or Wednesday, and then came in and did watched a second time on Friday. And it's great to have that extra window of a couple of days where we can figure out some things and do a little research and things like that. We did not get a chance to do that today. All three of us watched it for the first time just now, and so we try to get all of our AfterBuzz shows up immediately after the show airs because that's when people are very excited about it, which is a really fun part of it. But then the other benefit is when we do have a little time to kind of find out some other things and bring you some nuggets. So
pathetic, all of you, completely pathetic.
You know what I'm discovering about this show, and again, for those that don't know, I am the newbie.
Yeah,
it takes 2 viewings.
I know it does sometimes, doesn't it?
Because it's so smart
and layered,
and you're so used to these shows going, "Oh, Bill, I haven't seen you in so long. Come on in, sit down."
Yeah, Miami
exactly. You get like 15 minutes of expositing. Like, okay, no, they drop you right in the middle and just go, just hang. You'll figure it out.
Exactly.
We'll tell you.
In fact, especially they did that with Bill and Art in the Office. They did it also with Raylan and his former lover.
Yes.
Who's now the assistant.
Right. Goodall,
and he's surprised by the name.
Yeah, he can't remember her name. I thought that was fascinating.
Well, Goodall, he was surprised because she obviously took her married name.
Right, but then later when he had to introduce her, he was like, "This is Deputy Goodall."
Right, yeah.
It's probably kind of frustrating for you guys to have me in there because I'm like, okay, hold on, stop, wait. So who is this? Do we know these people? And it's either like about a 2-minute or no, we don't. Okay.
No, hang with it.
Okay.
Yeah, we really need you to catch up, Steve. That would be good.
Oh, so many people need me to catch up.
Exactly.
You're not the only ones.
So let's get back to Art's story. I mean, he's brought into it because obviously his friend comes to visit with him. They chat. They talk about old times. That's where they talk about being old marshals and how they would have matched up with Bat Masterson and
Bass Reeves.
Bass Reeves, thank you. And what the whole nostalgia, and this is another thing.
About
Speaking of what Phil was talking about last week about going back to the westerns, they really want to know how they would stack up against the old western guys, walking into the saloons and hearing the.
And he goes hearing the piano player stop.
Exactly.
They all had that same fantasy. As soon as they had that star, they just wanted to walk into that western town.
Thank you, Phil. He's right on top today.
He is.
Nice.
Yes.
I thought we were going to get, the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, well, good.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was a really good entree into why someone would become a marshal, because
that's what I was hoping for. There it is.
Because I mean, even as a kid, I wanted to do that kind of stuff. I wanted to absolutely all those movies and all that kind of folklore and real history. I could absolutely be a part of that. See me part of that.
That was fun listening to him talk about. And again, thank you for giving us that name, Bass Reeves.
Yeah, and then just enough to know that okay, these guys are old buddies, blah blah blah, blah. And great information along the way. We know how he feels about Raylan. We know all those things. So X-Boz without sounding like X-Boz, and setting up the fact that this guy's a marshal, so we don't need to know who he is. But also because of what happens to him, Art's that Art's really going to be instrumental in taking care of this because he's a friend of his.
Right.
So what we find out, of course, is that Bill, the friend of Art, is in WITSEC program, which, by the way, I can't remember what it stands for. WITSEC.
Witness
security.
Witness security, maybe. Okay, probably that sounds good.
I just thought it was witness protection agents, but
but they call it WITSEC.
WITSEC is probably witness security, so that sounds good. And he's being followed. Okay, I don't really the reason or why that the Terry Poe, the bad guy in this, and kills Bill and stuff like that is horrible to begin with. But the part that I just love is then that Art figures it all out. Just by the little things and stuff, and that's what I loved about Art. When they remember, you don't remember this, you obviously didn't see it, Steve, but Tammy would and Phil would probably remember the show we're talking about where he meets up with a guy on the plane on the
tarmac at the airfield,
airfield, and there was so much of that you just because he was a grizzled veteran, he'd seen everything, he figured things out. And this was just kind of the same thing, just the little things, seeing the little marks in the chair, so he knows that's been moved, and it's like, well, okay, that's interesting. And then knows enough to, okay, I got to figure out how to find out where this guy was, so He borrows his car, gets him in the car, makes some sense. And the way he does it is so, charming. It's like, hey, I'm sorry. I know you probably don't want to hear this from a guy who's trying to protect you, but I really don't know where I'm taking you. Do you mind if I use you? He's very disarming, and the guy buys all of it. And part of it is because of the accent.
Yes, absolutely.
He's just so charming about the way.
I think, the accent, the age, his look.
Yeah, and he's just kind of a schlumpy.
Disarming.
He's asking about because he must have known something was up.
Yeah.
As soon as he was walking in there, he must have been noticing stuff.
Well, as soon as
but he starts asking about the reptiles.
Yeah,
and I never understood that, but just throwing him off.
But even before that, so when he first meets Terry, Walt, whatever name he's gonna have because he's in Witsec, and Terry's pretending to figure it all out, like, oh my God, what happened to Bill? Something happened to him. He knows right then. Just the look on his face, okay, he shouldn't know that, and I know he's trying to run a number on me, but I'm gonna let this play out because I don't know what it all is yet. And then that goes on, and then he starts puts him off guard by asking him about the reptiles, and that does seem weird. Why? And I like what Terry said. The women love him. I don't know what woman that loves the reptiles.
He ends up feeding them all to the snake.
When they're young, they have the reptile stuffed animals. They're big into the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Women dig bugs in.
Yeah, they're big on that.
All I can think of is chicks dig my big snake. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Nothing from the booth on that? Nothing? No little shot?
Probably what he thinks.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nicely done. But he does figure it out. So he gets in the car and he sees where he goes into the history of the navigation system to find out where the car's been. And that's when he knows, okay, he's the guy that killed Bill.
And that's the only reason they got in the car.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
He needed to check what the navigation thing goes. He just does a big old circle.
But,
has the guy down low so he can't see where they're going.
Exactly. Yeah. All that's when I was first watching, I'm going, why is he taking? No, he doesn't, because we're not privy to what Raylan actually tells him. We don't really know.
Yeah.
All we know is that Art thinks he's no, I got to move you. Get your stuff. Da, da, da. He's dunking down in the seat, and you start to get a feel for no, Art's running the number. But it was so well done that I wasn't really sure. I mean, it was good. I thought it was very well done.
I liked it. I like when they finally pull up again.
Yeah,
the whole thing was.
Yeah, he just goes around in circles, drives around in circles until he gets to the nav.
But wasn't it surprising when Art started punching the guy? I mean, that was I thought it was really surprising. It was fantastic. It was surprising.
I was shocked by it because he's always on Raylan for being the renegade. But then again, you got to see how this is how Art was when he was doing his thing too.
Well, he realizes that the guy did kill a buddy of his.
Kill a buddy.
And what was even worse is he didn't kill him right away.
No, there was torture involved.
Yeah. So I thought he was showing restraint.
You thought
to be honest.
I love the way he did. We're not using the new book. We're using the old book.
Yeah, the Old Testament.
And then he said, "You used to use the Bible."
Phone book.
The phone book. But nobody has those anymore. As he's wrapping his hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And then again, his logic was really sound. I'm going to put 2 of your bullets into that wall. And then I'm going to shoot you in the face.
And I'm going to tell everybody you drew down on me, and I had to.
And they're not going to care.
And I don't think anybody's going to cry too much. And he's right.
And you know what? The other thing I noticed about the show, they really do have a good gunshot sound. It isn't this big boom, but you know what I mean? Like in some of them, it's like this big boom cannon thing. But like when they had the shootout later on in the house, that sounded like guns just popping because they just pop. They don't have this big cannon sound that a lot of these shows have.
Really? From a man who has, I think.
Really?
Enough said. We're moving on.
Yeah. That's the kind of winning attitude that's going to take this enterprise straight to the top.
Thank you.
Steve would know.
Thank you. We're moving on.
So yeah, I was.
What it sounds like to shoot a gun in a house.
Exactly. I was shocked that that Art was going to go there and punch the guy and get information.
Can you scoot over that way a little bit?
Talk about hearing damage.
So, but and I was a little conflicted about it because for some reason.
About Art.
Yeah,
punching him.
because I didn't want Art's hands to be dirty.
I thought it was cool. I was glad he was doing it.
I got over it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I was a little conflicted.
The great thing about it was when they were doing that moment, I was thinking, he will shoot him in the face.
Yes.
Absolutely. They had me to the point where I'm thinking if he doesn't talk, he's going to get shot in the face, and Art probably isn't going to feel bad at all about it.
Yeah, and there was a moment there when after it's all done and Raylan and Rachel show up and they come in and you just see him sitting there. You see Walt just sitting in the chair. For a second there, I'm going, oh my God, he did kill him. because he doesn't move. It wasn't until a second later when they show it from a different angle, you see him breathing, and I'm going, oh, okay, he didn't. But I thought, oh, damn, he did kill him. Because they kill a lot of people on this show.
They do. They're a little merciless about that.
But I got to say, yeah, so I was stunned by that. But very effective. It worked. I loved his demeanor, too, when he was telling him what he was going to do. He's so matter-of-fact about it. And again, I think this goes back to that charming and that kind of way he has about him, that good old boy kind of thing. Is here's how it's going to go down.
You have to be ready to be confused watching this show. You just have to be, because when Bill finally confronts Walter Poe, you're like, well, they know each other. Wait a minute, this is okay. And then he shoots him in the knee, and then it's like, you know, he's trying to explain everything to him. It's like, well, I'm lost. Why is he shooting him in the knee and then acting like, you know, they're friends and like, you got to get out of here and all this sort of stuff. So you just have to really hang with it. And it's worth the wait. It's always worth the wait.
they let you, they only give you just enough.
And I love that.
Yeah. So that for me anyway, I love it because I'm not ahead of the show at all. I'm always like, usually I'm trying to catch up, going, wait a minute, how's that fit?
Exactly.
So, and I like that because usually I'm just it's everything.
Like, oh yeah, here it comes. Okay. Oh, what a surprise.
So and the last thing about the art storyline that I found was really compelling was at the end when after it's all been done and they get the bad guys and all that kind of thing, and they're back in the office, and Raylan turns to him and says, "You okay?" And Art says, "Yeah, why shouldn't I be?" And he's clearly not. He's clearly not.
Oh, yeah, because of his buddy.
Because of his buddy. His buddy got killed.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how, right then I was thinking, just as a character, well, how many he's had to deal with. Because he's had a long time in the martial
Losing a friend.
Losing a friend, you know, things, I mean, because, you know, they're getting shot. They're getting killed.
It's a dangerous job.
Yeah. And then I thought about,
I know there's only been 2 episodes so far, but is this about the amount of art that is normally seen, or is he amped up a little bit right now?
Well, this show in particular had him as a major major storyline, and he usually is not in the forefront as much. Definitely, this is just one of the reasons why I like the episode, because I really like him, the actor. I like Nick Searcy; he's always fabulous, and obviously like the character. But he doesn't usually take that much of a role. He's usually in the secondary. He's usually yelling at Raylan for something.
Well, that was nice to, you know, he was fun to watch.
He was.
Yeah.
Again,
he's
just a
always
fun guy to watch.
Yeah, he's terrific. So he's a great actor. So we enjoyed that. So so let's go on to Raylan, because obviously they kept the Raylan and Winona story going by opening up the show with Raylan waking up and, you know, wondering to that music thumping in his head.
Well, the reason why I wanted to play this music and kind of cut you off, John, is because you guys know Valentine's Day is coming up, right?
Yes, we do.
Speaking of Winona and all that.
And love, yeah.
You can't not think of, Valentine's Day, right, John?
That's what I was about to say.
So, John, what are you getting your other half for Valentine's Day?
Well, some of it's private, Phil. I don't think I can share that with you or our listeners.
All right.
But well, he will be selling the DVD later.
But what would you suggest, Phil?
I suggest, if you can, steal your better half's iPod, iPad, or whatever, or what MP3 device.
We know you don't have one.
Okay.
And load it. Load it up.
Yes.
With their favorite after shows.
That's a great idea.
Or their favorite TV shows after shows.
I like that. That's a wonderful
that's
idea.
Lovely.
It's very thoughtful, because not only do you know their show, you know they'll want to listen to them. It gives them, when they're driving to and from work, or when they're taking care of other things, they have something to listen to, keep them occupied, keep them interested.
That's really right. So this Valentine's Day,
plus you don't have to really buy a gift.
Stop. That's not where he's going.
That's not where we're going. Sorry.
You boys, so romantic.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. So,
good idea, Phil.
Actually, thank you very much, Phil. So we see that the storyline continues, because they're, for whatever reason, they're in Winona's house. I guess it's because what happened in Raylan's place last time, and when he shot and killed Nick the
knife, or whatever his name was.
The pick.
Nick the pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fletcher.
That probably puts a damper. On the whole.
So they're sleeping in Winona, and then he wakes up to people talking downstairs, and they're showing a house to the realtor, and a couple of people wanted to buy his house, and he's in his boxers. He looks so unlike a marshal.
A hot U.S.
Yeah,
marshal.
Yeah, he just looks just a mess. His hair's a mess. He runs with stupid boxers.
He does notice that Winona had enough time to get her clothes on.
Yeah, she's fully clothed. She's taken care of. Yeah. So, and then then again, the next time we see him, I think they're talking about the sonogram.
The ultrasound.
Yeah,
the ultrasound. Excuse me. And seeing the 6-week child. So they're really I shouldn't say it this way, but they're really pimping the kid. so last week he was the size of a walnut. Now he's about to bust out of her chest like the alien creature. So he's growing.
Yeah.
Or it is growing.
And them both being scared. Which
I thought was a nice moment.
That's I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care if you're a marshal, a football player, an astronaut. You see that little thing, you're scared. You're just scared.
Yeah. About so many things. How am I going to screw this up?
There's pretty much that. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I loved her response to, wow, that's what every princess wants to hear her Prince Charming say. That he's scared.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We didn't see that. Well, we saw, she came in at the end. And just kind of hung around.
Winona, yeah.
But what I still think, because we talked about this last week, and I'm surprised they didn't do anything with it this week. And I'm wondering when it's going to come back. It's got to come back because she was so out. She told him at the end of last season, I'm not sure I'm going to be here when you get back.
That's right.
And I think she knew at that time she was pregnant.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, right?
She did.
Okay,
yes, she did.
Thank you. My memory serves me well. But and then she just witnessed him gun down a guy. Now, granted,
right in front of her with her counting down.
Yeah, absolutely, because he was holding them at gunpoint and stuff like that. But that's the kind of thing she was, wanted to get away from. That she doesn't know if he's ever going to come back.
But Winona is clearly not the typical gal either.
Right.
She's used to being around some of this ugliness. She kind of got herself mixed up a little bit last season.
Not trying to, but
but with the counterfeit money and there was, she's pretty and petite and, refined looking, but she's a much tougher gal than she appears.
Completely laid.
Obviously.
But what I'm surprised about is they haven't ever talked about that because it's got to be a huge conflict. Either that or it was just too easily dismissed. Here's the, she gave him basically an ultimatum.
Yeah, there has not been.
I may not be here when you get back. And now there isn't any. They're talking about kids. They're talking about homes. They're talking about all that kind of stuff.
But
never this.
It might have been part of the reason might be what we saw transpire last week, which was it opened with her finding out he got shot.
Right.
So maybe I'm out was a little
trumped
more than
by the fact that you're still alive. But
I agree with you though. They need to have that conversation.
Yeah, because the fact that he did get shot was the reason why she didn't run. Because she's so worried about him getting hurt, and here you did get hurt. See,
right.
I'm right.
But then she didn't run away. She ran too. Is my point.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that. How do you not have that conversation?
And it seems like every time they're talking about the baby is a perfect time to have that conversation where he could say,
"You're bringing a child into this."
Does that mean you are going to stay? I mean, I agree that's something that they have. Because
remember all the talking they had about I'm gonna go to Glencoe. I'm gonna get I won't be I won't be in the field. All that kind of stuff, and that's.
What does she do in the show?
She race.
She thinks she's gonna change him.
Yeah, because that works so well on the first time
works
around.
Well, in real life.
Exactly.
What does she do for a living?
She's a court reporter.
She's a court. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, which is why she's always at the marshal in the same building,
the
courthouse, and all that stuff. So, but what was the other? Okay, so speaking about the other Raylan interest in his life, or I should say past interest. So Carla Gugino, thank you, shows up as assistant. I forgot was her title.
Deputy assistant. I had it written down here somewhere.
Anyway, she obviously she's been promoted beyond Raylan, and her name is now Goodall. And he was surprised more at her last name than about her rank because.
When did you get married?
Yeah. A couple of months before I got divorced. But she kept the name. I thought it was like.
And apparently wearing a ring, or did he say just get married because her name changed?
Because her name changed.
Okay, because she went like this. She's talking and goes about a couple months. She made that gesture. So anyway, I thought that was weird.
Newbie question.
Yeah.
Were we aware of her before?
No.
First time we've heard of her.
The first time we meet her is the first time anybody. Well, of course, Raylan knows her and stuff like that. So I thought it was great. The look on his face, and it's like, and no, he never ever said anything about Winona or any of that stuff, and she did. We have to wait till the end for Goodall to finally see. Oh, that's why, because she even says, there's something different about you. And he says, I'm older. And she says, no, it's something else. And what's different is that he's not available. So, but he never says anything. I was just like, what? Why? What's the game for?
And that story seemed to end. I mean, he was like, you know, have a good life or whatever at the very end. So, unless she's going to hang around, and the way they were shooting her and spending time with her, it seemed like
I think
she's hanging around.
Yeah, she's got to be coming back.
She's got to be, right?
I would hope so.
So, okay, then. So that's going to be another distraction,
right?
For Raylan.
Or how that fits in, we don't know.
Or temptation. He's not the most
you call it temptation.
Faithful guy in the world.
I call it distraction.
Yeah. But again, they did a great job of just putting you in there. They didn't explain anything. The actors had to carry it all about their past.
And that's what's so confusing for a newbie.
Yeah.
Because they do it, and I'm always
don't
assuming,
know if they have or haven't given you the background.
You guys are going, oh no, this is from like season 1 or whatever. It's like, no, really, nothing. Yeah. Okay, all right.
Just is what
just
it is. They trust that you guys will figure it out. The audience,
and even if you can't,
and
just
here's the
watch.
thing: you don't need all of that.
No,
all we need to know is that they've had a history, and that this is where they are now, and they meet each other where they are now.
It's probably one of the smartest shows I've seen for a long time.
Yeah, they had some fun. They obviously had some fun times together in Miami.
Yes,
so, both on and off the job, I would guess. So, and I like the way they decide in the car. Here's how you should do it. No, just knock on the door and say, oh, I'm sorry, I have the wrong door. And she thinks it's a bad idea. Of course, that's the idea she ends up using.
And he has to improv in the hallway.
Yeah, exactly.
Another guy comes out. Is the ice machine there? And I love how they do the tandem batons.
Exactly.
External batons and take them down at the same time.
Yeah,
which was cool. It shows, okay, they have worked together. They know each other's moves.
It's like a dance. They know that.
And again, there isn't hey, remember the time in Miami where we had to, they're so smart on how they let this stuff out. God, that's fun to watch.
It was. So, we'll get into that I guess, predictions, but I'm curious about how many shows that she'll be in, or if Carla will be getting bumped off.
Are you waiting?
I'm trying. I just don't have good reception.
So, all right, but that leads us over to Boyd. We got to talk about Boyd now.
Oh, boy, Crowder.
So, because we know last week we learned the whole reason why Boyd got into a fight with Raylan, just so he could get thrown in prison, so he'd get close to Dickie. And he wants at the time we think it's because Dickie shot Ava and he wants a little retribution.
Revenge,
So he gets into prison and he gives at the end of last week's episode he gets a nice little look at Dickie as he comes in and we go, uh-oh, bad news. So we pick up right where we left off. We're the next, well, I guess not right off, but it's the next day. They're in the cafeteria. All the prisoners are eating. And we see Boyd with a shank coming out of his sleeve, and he's making his way over to Dickie. And I'm thinking, man, you're going to kill him right now in front of everybody? And he gets thwarted just at the last minute because Raylan shows up. Yeah. And Raylan's figured it all out. And remember, he figured this out when he was talking to Winona, and she was talking about realtors, and she said, I'm done with realtors, because what's the line she says? The only thing he doesn't mean is what he's actually saying.
Right.
And that's the thing to tip off to Raylan, because it kind of throws him back to why Boyd was fighting with him and the whole thing. And that's when he realizes, oh, my God, the only reason why he did that was to get into prison. So he figures it out.
Yeah.
Thwarts Boyd's plan to get to Dickie. And I love again, they had this great scene. They always have great scenes together, those two guys.
They do. They do.
And these two brothers, I call them brothers because they're, because they practically are. They fight like crazy. But
well, and they kind of grew up. They grew up together. Yeah.
So they're having the scene, talking to each other in the visitor center, with the phones and stuff like that. And Raylan's talking about the fighter, and women are put on earth to turn men's minds to mush. And what have I said all along, Phil, about this show?
Dames is trouble.
Dames is trouble, and there it is.
How they shot that with Raylan or Timothy Oliphant just looking down so much.
Yeah.
While he was telling the story, he kept just looking down like he didn't want to. And then when he gets to the point, he finally looks up at Boyd.
Yeah.
That was a great choice.
Yeah.
That's very, very, it's such, because for one thing, you're really used to this.
Yeah.
Talking and all this stuff. And this time he's just kind of like disassociated. you know,
and we don't really know what the story. How does this story fit in? Because we know what's going on, but
Boyd doesn't even know.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell is going on? He's telling some.
And he starts out with like this. So what do you call a guy that gets, you know, hooks up with his old ex-wife?
Yeah.
And I love that he goes, well, you're talking to the wrong. I'm hooked up with my brother's
widow,
killer,
widow and murderess.
Yeah. So you're talking to the wrong guy. So, but yeah, he makes his point at the end, and you know, Boyd still doesn't get it because Boyd, you know, Raylan leaves right away without getting to really answer any Boyd's, because Boyd's got what the, and then Raylan leaves and Boyd says, "Okay, I'm done here." It's not until he's in the yard or later when he realizes, oh, Dickie was put while all this was going down. Dickie was put in isolation, and so Raylan knows everything. And all he does is
we're with
Raylan.
Boyd, and he finds that out right then.
Yep.
And up to that second, he's scanning the yard to take care of Dickie. So
he's waiting for Dickie.
You've seen him where he's going to shiv him in the cafeteria, and now he's going to shiv him in the yard. So you're thinking, yeah, this is revenge.
Yeah.
And in that second, once he realizes he's not accessible and he knows he's getting out before they're going to release Dickie, he then
comes up with a different plan. You gotta admire this guy's tenacity. I mean, he's not only willing to go to prison. This is what I love. Not only is he willing to go to prison to get close to Dickie.
He is thinking.
He is. He goes, okay, he's in isolation. How do I get to isolation?
Absolutely.
What
are the tools I have around me?
Yeah,
did you know that he had a swastika on his arm?
I did from the Terry Gross
interview. We talked about it last week.
But I completely forgot about it until he strips down.
He's talking over to those guys. Mind if I? What is the word? What is the term?
Work in.
Work in. I'm gonna come and work in. And he's like this, and I'm like, oh no!
Why is he taking off his thing?
I knew right away why he was doing it.
And then I love how he leans back and goes, I'm going to need a spotter. As they're picking up a weight.
Brilliant.
And the next time we see him, his face is all beat up, and he's in the doctor's office at the prison there, and they're having to ask his permission to work on him. Yes. And I go, yeah, that's our society. Even the guys in prison have to do you mind if I get his permission to
This is how evil works, destroying everything it touches.
I do not mind. But here's the thing. So now, you know, he's worked it out. Now he's in isolation, and he's bribed the right guards. He knows. And again, the big surprise when he finally gets into isolation with Dickie.
Yeah, he doesn't kill him.
And no, he doesn't, because it wasn't about that.
No, it wasn't. He needed information. He was always about the money.
He needed to know where the money was.
And how to get to Mag's money, not the stuff that came out of the Pike, mine offering, but all the other stuff she had lined up.
And I got to tell you, this is as good as this show is, and this is not the only show that does this, but there really should be an option, like an instant option for closed caption.
Yeah.
Because it's so intense, and the guys, you know, and they're almost mumbling. And he's like, okay, I know he's talking. Yeah. But I don't understand half of what he just said.
Well, you know, I thought about that too. But, you know, really, I mean, as for the details, you were going to get them in the next scene anyway. But you could almost watch it without the sound and go, okay, I've gotten what I needed. Because visually, they're telling the story. All you need to know is he didn't kill him. But he was always getting information.
But it's not only just getting the information; it's just to stay more into the scene of like I'm trying to stay caught up as opposed to I'm right there. This is awesome.
Yeah,
and it was awesome.
I gotta say, Dickie, I forgot the character.
Jeremy,
thank you.
I can't remember his last name though. He's a friend of a friend of ours.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember.
He's gonna hate that I'm blanking on his name. But anyway, his character again, a good portrayal too, because he always plays this. He's such a dick.
Weaselly.
And he
smelly,
plays he plays it like he's not afraid of anybody and all this. So as soon as he cries like a baby, as soon as he's caught, he cries like a baby.
Then the other little cliffhanger on that scene was there was a guard standing right outside the door.
Now, have we seen this guard before on this show? Okay, because I know him from other shows.
Yeah, he's been in a ton of things.
Well, that means two things.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, we're going to see him again.
A new storyline, and he's going to die.
Right.
If you've never seen him,
we've seen
the body count on this.
That's true.
They need these guys.
False spoiler alert before you say things like that.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
But we've seen, he's been in a million things. My guess is he'll come back.
Yeah.
So, which we hope. Okay, but it all sets up obviously last week we set up Mr. Detroit,
right?
We're calling him. This week we're setting up Limehouse.
So there's gonna that's where it's all gonna
that's right.
converge
so
eventually.
We're getting all our bad guys in line, so we know where we're going with. We're drawing our lines.
And just when you thought you saw a really cool bad guy in Chicago,
yeah, exactly.
Now they introduce Limehouse.
Yeah, and he's a little bit more,
damn.
exactly.
With the dog story while he's carving
not
up a
so
side of beef.
sophisticated. Yeah.
No, he's not near as okay,
it was a pig.
Not near as, but he got the point across.
Well, yeah, it was wonderful. And just the way they did it. First of all, as soon as they showed the slaughterhouse, I went,
"Oh, this is not going to be
good." This is how they're going to introduce.
He puts on that old leather apron. Yeah. Someone's going down.
Michael T. Williams plays Limehouse, and this is the way we get introduced to him. And it was a really good, just as good as Mr. Detroit. They did a really good job of let's let them know who this character is. And just like we took a little time with Mr. Detroit and got to learn who he is, we didn't take as much time with Limehouse, but we don't think we needed to. Yeah, he puts on the thing, and we go, "Oh my God, we're in a butcher." He's in a slaughterhouse.
The juxtaposition was awesome.
And again,
you had
just like
Chicago.
The pizza guy last week was really good. Brandon was really good this time. They had Brandon and I'm guessing his father.
Or the right hand of the henchman. That would have been Nick the Knife from the other.
Right, but I like that because I'm just gonna say it was Brandon's dad because he was talking about how your daddy taught me about dogs and how to train dogs, and that would be cool if that was his dad right there because of what we see later. And he's talking to him the difference about how you can treat a dog, how you should train dogs, and that in Limehouse's idea, dogs only remember pain. But his dad, Bernard's dad, taught him that no, they remember when you don't inflict pain too, and they know the difference. But there are some dogs who, if you don't hit them when you're supposed to, they take it as a sign of weakness.
That's right.
And those are the ones you got to put down.
That's right.
And this is all happening as he's.
And in this scenario, I am the dog.
Yeah, wait
is
a
that
minute. Which
right?
one am I?
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Am I the alpha dog?
Can I be the groomer and just only come in for a minute?
Am I the alpha? Am I just your bitch? I can't. Which one am I? But it was great. I mean, not that it's never been done before, but it was done really well with the butchering of the pig as he's talking and stuff like that.
I just love the juxtaposition. We get to see Chicago with the clean and the Detroit. With he wasn't from Chicago?
No, Detroit.
Okay, sorry. And then the trick gun and all that stuff, in the Wild West, James West sort of thing. And then we go old school.
Old school, yeah. We just got a butcher knife.
Oh,
just it's not even a butcher. I mean, it's an old butcher knife.
It's an old carving knife.
Exactly.
I mean, but sharp as hell. Yeah. And he's letting this kid know that he knows how to use it.
And we're using lye, which I thought was just a weird thing because they talked about. Art was talking to Raylan. Hey, have you seen the assistant, Arnett's assistant, Yvette, the woman that told you
who you
all
had
about.
Drinks with last
week?
Yeah,
exactly. And he's no. He goes, why? Because the carpet's been removed and the floor has been bleached.
Well,
so
that's
just because I don't know why I made the connection between the bleach and the lye, and I'm just going, okay, they're just making these connections and stuff. So the other thing that happens in Limehouse after he's talking about the dog, here's how you can make it right. The lye, and he says we can either dip your hand in this lye until I think we're square, and then pour enough vinegar on it and hope it hasn't gotten to the bone, or you can make sure you can promise me that you'll never do it again.
I promise. I promise.
You'll never fail me again.
Yeah, never fail me again. Which means that he does anything he's told.
Exactly.
And I can judge by your face, you want option number 2.
No. They did a great job shooting that, too, because it was really tight. And stuff.
I wasn't looking. The whole knife along the spine, I was like,
but tight on Michael T's face and all that stuff. And just when there was this great shot where he was talking to Bernard.
Brandon.
Brandon, beg your pardon. And then when he walks, just before he goes, you see him walk away and just kind of takes it away, the way he was there, I thought that action was.
But now the reason why we went to visit, and I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, the reason why we went to visit Limehouse is because
that's right.
That's where the money is. That's where the money is.
When Boyd got out of prison, he met with Ava, and Ava was wondering, okay, did you find out about this? So she knew.
She knew. Yeah.
She knew the whole reason why he was in prison.
Yeah.
So.
And I do, and it's not going to be easy to get to.
It's going to be tricky.
And now we discover why. Right. So what a great setup.
And the big, the reveal at the end is that we got to see Brandon's, I'm sorry, what was his name?
Brandon. Brandon.
I was saying Bernard. Okay, Brandon's dad or whoever it was next time. his hand is all
scarred
up
up
from lye. So people have been through this before. I'm sure they're going, don't take the lye. Don't take the lye. It's really nasty. And that is Limehouse. So
Limehouse with the pig.
And, you know, Michael T. Williams, who we know from many roles, but one of them was Forrest Gump. He played Bubba Gump, and he had underbite. And this one, he has got fake teeth.
Fake upper teeth,
Upper teeth, so, you know, that's, he's doing his work.
He just came up with that.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
The thing he just came up with.
He just came up with that. And then that whole thing about all the pineapple going up and down, he just kept going because nobody said cut.
He drew his bottom lip out.
Yeah. So that was good. So he's going to be great. He's a really good presence on screen.
When he's been in the credits, he was in the credits last week.
Yeah.
For last week's show, and I think
he
wasn't in
there.
the show,
Oh.
but I felt like we saw his name actually last season as well. But I could be wrong about
I don't recall that.
But I just remember watching his name in the credits and going, "Where is he?" Last week.
The only thing I remember last week was it was in the upcoming, but I didn't actually see him in the episode.
That's right. You mentioned it as we were watching that afterwards.
An explanation could be it might have been cut from the episode, and you know sometimes you don't have time to go back in and change the credits because it's already past that because you've already hit print or whatever in the technical term.
Yeah, but it also could just be that he was.
That's part of the contract. He's there.
Yeah,
they just give him credit
because he's
going
to be a big episode in this season. So might
clearly
as well
he's going to be a big player.
Well, you guys know more than me, huh?
Yeah.
You're just a voice in the booth, Bo.
All right. Well, that should take us to our first break. So, Phil, if you would kindly lead us.
AfterBuzz TV. Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV. AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
That's so sexy.
It is.
All right. All right, we're going to move right into predictions. Anybody?
Oh, we are?
Yes,
okay.
because we don't have a special segment. We don't have any news and gossip.
And now, your AfterBuzz
Don't
TV.
give me that
Oh,
look.
I'm not.
Oh, gosh. Okay, predictions. Well, is it going to be just the two? Is it going to be Detroit and Limehouse that are going to be our two arch nemesis?
Yeah, I don't.
That
I mean,
come
well, this is
together? Or are we
what's
going to have
interesting.
a new one come up next
This
week?
isn't, you know, because we know obviously that Limehouse has Mag's money.
Yep.
And Boyd wants it, but it looks like the way they're doing some of these promos that Limehouse and Boyd are going to be working together on something.
Yes, it
They're going to
does.
be joining forces, so to speak. So I don't know how. Obviously, I don't have a clue how Detroit's going to figure into this. I mean, he wants to take over.
You
the whole
suppose
place.
Detroit catches wind of the money and says, no, because it's got to be a lot.
Yeah, but I don't think it's just money that he wants. He wants ownership.
He
wants a stake. He wants long-term investment in this place. I think he wants the territory.
Yeah, I think he wants the territory too.
Yeah, that's what I think. So,
my prediction is next week's special segment will have a lot of interesting facts about Bass Reeves. I will bring it in because I'm fascinated now. I want to know about this guy. It won't be long. But I'll bring in some interesting tidbits too.
All right, that'll be good. No, how about we make predictions about the show?
Oh, that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we
I don't
got to
think they're
talk about
bringing Bass
Carla.
Reeves back.
Goodell.
Right.
Goodall. Excuse
Goodall.
me. How is she going to play into this? I mean, because here's the thing. I mean, it's going well. We can't have it go well with Winona and Raylan forever.
Yeah.
You know, they got to
We
break
need some
Tammy's
conflict.
heart.
Yeah, we need him to break my heart.
That's right.
She didn't really have that sort of I'm taking you down
No,
look
she
to
didn't.
Winona. She was just kind of like, oh, okay.
But that's why I'm wondering. Is like, okay, because it doesn't seem like this was a one-off for her.
No.
But I don't know. She didn't have a specific role in the Marshals group.
Right.
And she came in, she was called in for this.
Right, yeah, she was just like
but
a
it
visitor.
didn't feel like a one-off story for her. I mean, it felt like, they were going to, why would you bring her in just for that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, maybe Poe gave up more than one witness. Don't know.
The thing that I loved about this episode was that we really got into, as we started to talk about, kind of back into revisiting the character of Art.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of that character development and getting into the minds and the hearts of Boyd and Raylan.
Right.
And so I kind of want to return to that, like really get back into maybe Raylan or Boyd, their history, something like that, because I find that some of the most fascinating stuff they do on the show. The other thing that I love about the show was, I believe this was second season, where Raylan was doing a lot of kind of reconnaissance and trying to figure out Mags and her her role in the crime in Harlan County. And do you remember there was a Jubilee Hootenanny? I can't remember what they called it. A party.
Oh, at her house?
At her house.
Yeah. And he visited.
And he visited, and it was a whole. One of the things that I love about I just love the whole culture of Harlan County and Kentucky.
But that's the Harlan,
the coal mining, these characters that we haven't spent time with before, and living in the holler, because we're getting a lot into Detroit and all these other places, and I'd like to return to the heart of Harlan County, and the people. So it's not so much a prediction, but a hope for me of that that will kind of get back
because that was a world we'd never seen and what it was like. I mean, just their mannerisms and the way they responded and behaved with each other.
And we talked before about the gentility and the politeness that everyone has with each other.
Yeah, even though they were like mortal enemies.
So, and you're gonna love it when you watch the past seasons. You're gonna love that.
So far, we've been pretty
much.
Yes, I predict that you will love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Speaking of predictions, I recommend that we also do like season 2 DVD specials and do a review of those. That's a
good idea.
That would probably help me.
That would probably help Steve.
Seriously,
then Steve could listen to it and actually be caught up. Do you have any predictions, John?
Well, no, I'm not offhand. What I would like to see on the
crickets.
Thank
you, Phil. That was good.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a prediction. I can't. I for some reason, this show, I've never guessed where it's going. I've always only been able to guess where I would like it to go, but I can't really figure out how it's going to go because they've just never tipped their hand.
Right.
So. Yeah, it's really.
Well, then
hard.
I guess we're just going to come back next week and be surprised.
It's a hard one to predict. Yeah. It really is.
Because I used to predict. Well, they'll never kill off her, and she's dead the next week. So I guess that's it for us.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Tune in to Justified, Season 3, Episode 2, Cut Ties. Once again, on behalf of Steve Bottomley, Tamara Berg, Phil Svitek.
Hey, I'm at Tamara Jewelry on Twitter.
Okay, where are you?
I'm at Twitter.
Phil, where are you?
God.
I'm on AFTERBUZZ.
He's on AFTERBUZZ.
I follow Steve. You can find Steve on mine, at Tamara Jewelry.
We thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, John Comerford. We'll hear you next time.
Well, real quick, by the way, for those of you, if you have questions, if you have questions about the scheduling or anything like that, tweet at AFTERBUZZ or whatever. Get in touch with AFTERBUZZ. If you have specific show questions, I'd go right to the source with Tamara and Steve on their Twitter. That's much more direct. You'll get a better answer.
You betcha, baby.
Good news.
Or mail John a letter. We need to keep the post office working.
Well, or that. I think he's still on the horse and buggy.
Yeah, that's right.
Delivery system.
Pony Express.
Go ahead, no. I'm
we'll see you next week.
Bye.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AFTERBUZZ TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AFTERBUZZ TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.